BPOs today. So just a little background. When I first came over to Keller Williams in 2008, and this is what I'm going to base it on because that's the only thing I remember. So that year I left Prudential in a rebel rousing leave, and I went over to Keller Williams Las Vegas, which was Debbie Zois's office. And I think that year we did, I don't know, maybe like 618 sides, but we did a lot of BPOs and we did them all in house on the team at the time. I've changed the model since, and I'll let you know as we go. But I used to do them myself when I first moved out here in 2000. I landed on the ground and I thought, let me start doing some BPOs so I can learn the areas and learn the values. So since I'm Joe, no job is ever too big or too small. So I had a REO client at the time that I had in New York, and they sent me a link for to sign up, and it was at the time Ocwen had its own BPO department, and Ocwen Bank is Altisource and Hubzu and all those guys combined, but they used to have their own um, BPO thing, and it was through RealTrans. So I get on the RealTrans chat after I'm in Vegas. I got my license in July. I moved out here in November, actually, probably around the same time now, actually, about the same week, whatever, 20 some odd years ago. So the first thing I did is I went into RealTrans and I changed all my zip codes over from New York zip codes to Nevada zip codes. And then I went into the chat and I asked the guy in RealTrans, I said, I have this big team. Is there any way you could give me all your Nevada BPO assignments? And the girl said, sure, how many can you handle? I said, whatever you have. So that day they sent me 125 BPOs all over Vegas. And I had more or less no idea where I was going. So I
Oh,
muddled through it. I had all kinds of problems from the wrong pictures or losing the order and mixing comps. It was a train wreck. But so, and since then, I've learned I can only be good at certain things, like sending out these emails. I put make all kinds of mistakes in there anyway. But I had learned along the way. So that was a big rude awakening. And I had to do them in 3 days. They needed them in 3 days. I got them all done, but it was a little tricky. It was definitely tricky for sure. But the good news here in Vegas is we have a lot more information available to us than they do in other markets. So Southern California has it, Northern California has it. I don't know about Utah. New York didn't. So we have square footage on our tax record. New York, they don't have it. They have, and they classify the houses different. Here we do 1 story, 2 story, 3 story. In New York, they do colonial ranch, tri-level split, so that type of thing, but no square footage. I mean, you're snowballing and ballparking. So your 3 bedroom, 2 bath is, you could have 3 different ones, all different sizes. So your BPOs and I guess the appraisers measure, so maybe the appraisal's more accurate, but the BPOs aren't. Here, it's super easy. So it just so happens I did one yesterday for an attorney. I'm gonna bring that up and I'm gonna walk through the whole thing together. And I'm gonna go into the MLS, show you how to pull them, how I pull everything, and I systematically do it to make it the easiest because I know I have a very poor attention span. Nothing like anyone else. I have like, somebody says squirrel and I jump. Poof, I'm running all over the house. I'm like my dog. Dog hears a sound and barks. I jump up and I run. So anyway, I'm going to put this one on that I just did. The only thing I took off is the house number. I left everything else there so that we could all see it and understand it as we go. So I'm going to bring this puppy up. And one of the things I did over the time is I made my own BPO form so that I would be able to brand my BPOs. So there's my BPO form. It's got my little thing up at the top. And I did it. What I did is I got a PDF fillable form and I just kind of edited it. So I branded it. So on a local level, on a smaller level, attorneys, divorce, estate sale, probate, same thing, investors, you would do a BPO on a BPO form. On the BPO companies, they all have it built into their portal. So you'd actually log into the portal, you click on the property, and then you start entering the information. The first thing I do, hold on, let me move the screen over here so that we have it. My first thing is I go in, I pull the tax record. All right, did this show yet?
Your
Hold on, let
PDF
me put it
did.
on. Hold on. I have to put it on. There we go. Well, I got to unshare the screen and reshare it. That's how this works. Hold on. I'm learning as I go. Okay, so where is this? No, bear with me. Look at all my emails. Man, I got more emails than I know what to do with. Uh, why isn't that coming up? All right, let me find this. There's the BPO, and that's my screen. Now, if I move the tax record to that screen, shouldn't that show up? Let's go back and see.
You might need to click on share. Yeah, I mean, if you click on share screen, um, maybe try window or.
Oh, you know what? Because I had a Chrome tab. I think that's what's doing it. Okay, so here's my tax record. And the sign of a good realtor is these phones ring off the hook. So as we're doing this, all my phones will be ringing. So I go in, I pull the tax record. That's the first thing I do so that I have all this information. All I really need is going to be room count, bedrooms, baths, lot size, square footage. And we always use this above ground area and not the total building. Total building includes the garage. Technically, the garage isn't livable, but we will note the garage, whether it's a 1, 2, or 3 car garage. There's a livable square feet on this model is the 1513. They all in Vegas, anything within the last 20 years is going to have air conditioning and, forced air and central and stuff. All right, so that's the first thing I do is I pull that and I use that as my guide to going in and picking my comps. All right, let me close that. Go back to the BPO, and it's on. How perfect is this? And then I go into the form. I put in the APN number just to make sure that I have the right property. So a lot of times, if it's an attorney or an estate sale, they'll just give you the address. There's an issue, they transpose numbers, and then you got completely the wrong one. I'll always ask for the APN also, and then I punch that into the tax records when I pull it initially. I also use that when I'm putting a listing in. First thing I do is I bring up the APN and the tax record, and I use it as my guide. So then I condition of the property, average. So this was a drive-by. So there's going to be two types of BPOs. There's going to be a drive-by and an interior. The interior is going to be something where you're going to actually go into the house and take pictures of each room. And we'll talk about that after we go through the drive-by. And then the drive-by, you're just going to drive by the house and note everything you can. And then when I show you the photos, we'll talk about all those different things. So then obviously this one wasn't vacant. As you'll see in the pictures, there's like 300 cars in front of the house. I'm sure there's a lot of people living in it. Secured or non-secured, obviously it's secured, they're in there. It's not vandalized. I don't know if it's winterized, so I put no, obviously they're living in it. There is an HOA. I put the HOA and the HOA phone number and the HOA amount. Some BPOs are going to require is the HOA current. Obviously, we're not going to have that unless we order an HOA demand. So that would be kind of open to judgment on that. All right. So what else do I have here? So air market time, I have 30 to 60 days. And what I did is I used list reports for my zip code analytics. And I found that out on list reports. So I put that in. I didn't have to pull a whole Martin MLS thing like he does when he does the weekly numbers. There's a new construction in the area. This one there is. So this is here minimum property repairs. That would be for HUD, for FHA. And that would be stuff like peeling paint or broken railings. So it'd be more or less safety or occupancy. Broken window, that'd be more of like dangery things. So this, again, it's a drive-by. I couldn't see anything, didn't look like anything was broken. Positive features. The home is at the entry level in the market. The zip code 89115. So it's by Nellis. It's in that 350 range. So it's kind of at the lower end, but it's definitely at the entry level. Nothing really negative. I mean, I wasn't thrilled. I saw it, and it's, you know, again, the three of us aren't going to be living in it, so we're fine. Listing history. The property was never listed before. It was originally purchased from Woodside Homes, and I put the docket number because this is the original purchaser. So that would also come up on the tax record. They don't usually ask for that docket number. I put it in. Obviously, then we go into recommended marketing. I have market the home to first-time buyers. Again, that's the price point. Or investors. There's definitely some rentals there, or there wouldn't be as many cars. It's in a cul-de-sac, and you can tell there were just a ton of cars. So the comps I picked, I had a little bit of problem with. I had a problem pulling them. So the availables, I managed to get them. I typically try to have everything within a mile, and that's kind of the rule of thumb. And I made a quick cheat sheet up, a Joe version of a cheat sheet. It's actually 2 pages that pretty much tells you everything in Joe language. So I'm gonna bring that up as we go along too, and kind of read through it to give you guys more of an idea. So on my availables, it worked out. So I pulled everything. I had one that's 3 miles out, which isn't the norm. So we're considered suburban. So technically we should be within a mile, but I had to go a little further to get this. There were a lot of attached houses nearby, and then condos and newer homes. There were a lot of homes that were built. I'm going to say, if I'm not mistaken, this one's 1995. There were a lot of homes that were built like 2016 and 2018. So it'd be too much of a differentiation in years. So I try to keep everything within 4 or 5 years each way. So I had to use that last comp, the available comp had to be from 2004. That was the best I could find. There isn't that much available there, but I did find 2 that were fairly close. So I put them in. One of them is on the same street. It's a cul-de-sac and it's in a regular lot. So it had a 15,000 square foot lot. My subject had a 5,000 square foot lot. So when I go in and I do the MLS search, just like I'm looking for a house, I set that stuff up. So I try to keep square footage within 200 square feet, and I try to keep the lot within 3,000 square feet. Anything over, I'd have to make adjustments for if I don't come up with the model match. I mean, typically in Vegas, when you do a BPO, you'll literally have it'll be the exact models that you pull. In most of the subdivisions, that's what happens. You have, you know, the builder goes in, he builds 150 houses, and there are 4 models. So if you're the 1505 model, there's bound to be at least 6 of them or 10 of them in there. So it makes it very simple to actually pull. So in this case, since it's an older part of town, it was a little more of a challenge. Everybody had a 2-car garage, attached garage, so that all worked out. The lot sizes, like I said, that one was bigger. I adjusted 10,000. So there's no true formula for adjusting the square footage or the age. You kind of have to, an appraiser has a set of numbers. I kind of look at it as the value for that area. So in all honesty, it's double, it's more than double. It's like 3 times the size of the lot of the subject property. But to be honest, it's not like that. It's, you know, it doesn't have a pool and it's not like a gazebo. It's dead flat. I would say the yards are probably mostly dirt and dead grass. I mean, nobody's really taking care of their property out there. That's why I listed it as fair. So I didn't give it that much. I adjusted 10,000 for that. For age, I adjusted 5,000 from this third comp because he's from 2004, and our subjects are from 1995, 1996. 1995. That's the other comp. And then I'm going to go down here. And then it's kind of this little section here talking about each comp. So some of the portals, the BPO portals, will actually ask you for the MLS comments. So if it's an agent that goes in and you got to kind of, you know, check your spelling and capitalize certain letters. You can't go in there like if somebody puts an MLS listing all capitals in the description, you can't copy and paste that in here. It looks, you know, one has capitals, one doesn't. You'd have to rewrite it anyway. So, but I would look through it if there's anything of value, new kitchen, new bath, or we put in a pool or LVP on the floor, then I would list that in here to differentiate the comps. Basically, everything was almost the same. So I didn't go too crazy. I put that irregular lot. And again, so that house is the corner. So it had a pie-shaped lot that went out. And from the Google Earth, it didn't look like there was anything special going on in the lot. I had that in also, and I'll show you when we get to the photos. And then over here, since I had to go outside of my normal mile, I put due to a lack of similar available listings, we had to go further out to get that. And then I bring up the solds. So our solds are the same thing. They're kind of similar. They're, you're going to pick on a resale. First of all, you always want to do 2-story with 2-story, single story with single story, 3-story with 3-story. If it's a manufactured home, then you want to only look at manufactured homes. And if they're converted to real property or if they're just on the land, that's also something you'd have to differentiate with. So a condo is super easy. If you see a BPO for a condo, grab it. It's cakewalk usually. Okay, so now here we are on the solds. Solds, I had to go further out because nothing's really closed in the area. It's, I think if things were listed, I actually looking at the comps, I expected the days on market to be a lot further. If we go back and we look, where's my days on market? Do I even have it on here, the listing days on market? No, I don't. Okay. Okay, so on here I have the days on market on the solds. Anyway, so in my comps, so there's my subject, and then there are my 3 comparables. And again, I did the best I could. Everybody's a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath. This one has 3 baths instead of the half bath, 3 full baths. And I only adjusted 5,000. Again, we're not in Summerlin in the guard gated community where it's going to be granite marble. It's going to be the basic, the basic tub, either with tile or a tub enclosure around it. So my square footage again is 1513. Everybody's somewhat similar. They're within my 200 square feet. So I didn't do an adjustment for that. I went down here on the lot on the next line and I added to one that was a little smaller. It was a 3,000 square foot lot. And then I took off on this 8,000 square foot lot. I took off a little bit. One of the things you also have to look for too is we have a lot of those patio homes where it's the 2,000 or 3,000 square foot home on the 3,400 square foot lot, or they're somewhat connected. You go down the little driveway and they're all, what else do they call them on the patio homes? Cul-de-sac homes, maybe. I think that's
homes.
Again, if you're doing that, then we'd have to do like properties with it. We don't want to put in a single family on a decent sized lot. So I always look at the MLS photos first, just to make sure that this is going to be a comp I want to take. When I initially did this search in the MLS and I broke it, I set my search first for square feet. I put and I'll go in the MLS, I'll show you. I put the property address in. I did within a mile of the property address. And then I searched within 200 square feet. So I did, I think, 1,350 to 1,800 square feet. And then I tried to do the year and everything was coming up newer. So I had to pull the year out and then I had a sort through them. I put 2-car garage I had to have, and everything had to be a 2-story. And then that was my basis for my search. And like I said, I ended up going a little further away outside of the mile because nothing was coming up. And that's just my luck. I mean, there are a lot of times it works. It's easy. You go in, you do your search, you click on your available, your pendings, which would be the under contract show and under contract don't show. And then your solds will usually go back. I think the MLS is defaulting at 120 days. I like to use 120 days. If you have to go back a year, you could. It depends. Sometimes the BPO will give you specs and it won't allow you. I think your truest comp is going to always be within 120 days. Okay, so going through the solds, I don't think I made many adjustments on this. I had done this for the lot I added. I took off on this lot. And then I again broke down the difference. And then I did a little here on adjustments and comments. And 89115, the median list price is 339,990. There are 13 new listings in the last 5 days. This is Martin's thing pulling this information. I should have called him for this. The active amount of listings are 109, and the median days on market are 43. So that's quite a few. 109, that's quite a few listings. So, all right, there is new construction within 5 miles, and that's going to definitely change things. And it's a close commute to the Nellis Air Base, which is also an issue with noise, plane noise. So I don't know if you guys have had anything up in the Northeast, but those planes come over and you think you're being bombed. You hear them railing over them. Nothing like being close to Harry Reid or McCarran. All right, so I came up with this, and at my as-is price was 373 at a list of 374, and that's just basically I put a little more weight on the availables than I did the solds, but that's what I used to come up with my generalization of which one was the closest similar comp, and they'll do some of the BPO portals will ask you which available is most similar and which sold is most similar, and you'll pick that, and they'll use that to come up with the actual close price or your list price. Okay, so now my photos, which is really important, is one of the things is you don't want to, if you're driving by and there's kids playing on the lawn, then you got to come back. They don't want any kids in the picture. They don't want pretty much, they don't want to see junk lying around or people hanging out. It's supposed to be as inconspicuous as possible. This was a rush. I had to do it all alternate in one day. So I said to him, hey, there's cars in the driveway, garbage cans outside. I mean, I couldn't get the best photos, but here's what I have. So I take a front dead on. One of the things I'll do is now use your phone. I used to have a digital camera that had Wi-Fi, and I'd able to upload it to Dropbox. And then back at the office, the team would download them and start typing the BPO because I usually pull the comps before I go. A really good agent will drive past their comps to make sure that they are similar and there's nothing adverse with the comps before you use them. And again, you want to use light comps. So if these are all resales or a rental property, then you want to use something similar. If it's an REO, then you want to look for those distressed or REO properties. So it's always condition to condition. So my first one is a front, which was almost dead on, and this was going to be a front left. There was a guy that was kind of hanging out at the door smoking pot, so I was kind of limited. I blocked him out in this picture so you don't see him. But there was somebody there in the picture, and I went back twice, and he didn't move. So I ended up just catching this truck here blocked him just perfectly, so we didn't see him. And then a front right. And they're going to always ask for a street sign. They want to make sure you have the right street and the street number. So I think one of these has the street number on them. Is it going to be this one if you blow it up? I can't see right now. I'll have to skip that. And then they're going to ask for 2 streets. So there is the common agent that takes a picture of the actual street view of the street. They don't want the street. They want to know what the houses on the block look like. That's what a street view is. So here's one street, and then here's my other street. They want to see what the surrounding properties look like. Does everybody have 4 cars in the driveway? Does everybody's garbage cans out 4 days after garbage day? Is it normal for dead grass or dead shrubs, or they want to see what if this subject is going to be in line with all the others. And then my comp photos I pull from the MLS. I just cut and save them, and I save them in order. These I actually named by the property so that I didn't forget where I put them. It's been so long since I've done this myself. The only one I have here, the third listing, that wasn't as similar as all the others. It was a little oddly shaped looking. But again, it was the best I could do, and I had to go far out miles for that. So then I pulled the Google Earth, which here's that house with the irregular lot. If you guys could see that. See, it's just dirt. There's nothing there. So that lot didn't bring us any value at all whatsoever, to be honest. So there was no reason to really, I adjusted up for it, but it's not like the guy put a pool and a hot tub or anything special. And then I put my Google map in there. And then the next thing I do is I put the tax record in so that whoever it is that ordered it will have a copy of that, the taxes. And then you could I also at times put in the history so that they can see if it's been listed previously. This one wasn't, so I didn't really need it. And then I'll also put in if there's any liens. A lot of times it'll show if it's in foreclosure, if there's a lien. And then I'll include that. So on this particular one, there's 2 HOA liens. So since we're in a super lien state, in an additional attachment, I had to put in that we're in a super lien state and the property does have HOA liens. Okay, so we're gonna jump off of that puppy. I'm gonna bring up, I made a kind of like a quick start. So on my BPO form that I use, and I could upload it, you guys could customize it. I also have the photo form. I'll move that over here. I think it should come right up. I don't have to reshare the screen, right? Or do I? I think I do. Look at that. All right, hold on. Hold on with me, kids. Where is it? It's not coming up. Windows. Oh, here it is. Okay. So on my BPO form, you could just reuse the same form. You click on the photo. You change, of course, obviously the address and your name, you leave your name and company name the same. You change the address, but this is a customizable form. So you can kind of just click, go to photos, go into your computer and pick the next set of photos that you want to put on there. And you just save that form. All my BPOs, since they're editable, I print to PDF and I send them the PDF so that nobody goes in and changes values. You never know truly who you're dealing with. This is a big attorney firm; they wouldn't do that. But sometimes some of these people would do that. I do a bunch of BPOs for a couple commercial investment firms, and as they're loaning money out on these pools, the actual people. So in order to get their loan on their shopping centers, they're actually using all their assets. So they'll put their own home and any rental properties up. So I do a ton of BPOs for them. Back in the day, I started talking about it when I was at Debbie's office when I first went over there. We did about 1,000 BPOs a month on average. We did, I think, 1.8 million just in BPO volume. So, which was kind of neat because it's added income. I don't have the bandwidth to do it myself. I could do maybe 10 and then I'm like washed out for 2 days. So what I did is I broke everything down. And again, it's agents copy other agents. So I have an agent friend in New York. And he used to, when we used to do all our BPOs, he'd come to a conference and we'd all be at the conference together. He used to get called to the front desk at the hotel. He'd get a FedEx envelope. He'd grab it. He'd pull out all these MLS comps. He'd make all the adjustments. He'd bring them to the desk and have him fax them back to his office. So he'd do all the adjustments. He'd have field people go out and take his photos. He'd have field people pull all the comps, and he'd have field people type, and then obviously an admin type the BPO, which was neat. So he did, I don't know, I don't think he did more than maybe 500 a month with that, that the way he did it, because wherever he was always getting these comps and he had to adjust them. When I started doing it, I would pretty much wait. When I had my first BPO person, I'd wait till they were done. I'd review all the BPOs and then submit them. I go in and make small changes, make sure everything was right. I know after you do like 5 of these, you get like a little duress syndrome in your head and you start making mistakes. You write stuff backwards, you put a photo in upside down, just crazy stuff happens because you're overwhelmed with that I'm going to call it an admin thing, right, Heidi? Is that the best way to put it? Yeah. Anyway, so that's that. Let me bring up my form that I drew together the Joe cheat sheet, and I was trying to find an actual BPO training that I made. I did one for BLB Resources when we trained all the HUD brokers, and I have it somewhere. I just have to find it. I couldn't find it. Let me find a way to get to this. Oh, that's not it. Bear with me, guys. Yeah, all kinds of things showing up here. Let me move this up to here. I gotta go into my. There it is. Hold on, kids. I'm a big fan of OneDrive. Was it OneDrive from Outlook from Microsoft? I keep all my properties in there. Anything I have to do with them. We used to use Dropbox. It got too expensive. Okay. So as this slowly loads. Oh, here it is. Okay. All right, let me bring you guys back up to full size. I have you in the tiny little corner here for some reason. There you are. I look old today. I'm having a rough day myself today. All right, hold on. Let me figure out how to get this back onto the screen. Okay, window. Is that it? That should be it, right? Oh, there it is. Okay, perfect. So I put this puppy together. Last night thinking, hey, what are the most important company? And they just got too big too quick. I mean, we were doing, I bet you we did 300 a month just from them alone. They got just too big. So they were looking for people to reconcile BPOs, and I helped my team actually reconcile the other BPOs from other counties and states and things like that. We did probably like, I don't know, maybe 100 or 200 of other BPOs that we just reconciled. And we found things wrong with them. And then we'd email the agent and say, hey, we found these other available comps. And back then, there used to be a Realtor.com made a thing, and I forget what it was. It was called MLS Find. And through MLS Find, you could log in and you'd have access to every listed property across the country. So what I would do is I'd put the thing into MLS Find and I'd pull comps for whatever it was, and I'd do the best I could. So if it was, if I was going through the BPO and let's say it was a 2-story and all of a sudden there's 1-story comps, I'd send it back for the comp. Or if the square footage, I knew there were other houses within this 200 square feet and they used, 500 and adjusted, then I would send the BPO back and make them redo it. So I was that ball buster guy when the BPO companies said, fix this. Or, hey, there's this house on Zillow. Why didn't you use this as a comp? So I use that too. That hurts because everybody like fucking Zillow. Anyway, so I do my inspection, conflict of interest. So if you're handling this as like a probate, obviously don't take the BPO. If it's your listing and it's a backup BPO, don't take the BPO. If it's your house, then don't take the BPO. Obviously, conflict of interest. So I put that together. And this is going to be, we'll put this up at the website so you guys have it. Obviously, you should have some experience in the area. Don't be taking out of the area BPOs like, hey, where do you need a BPO? Atlanta, Georgia. I could do it for you. Then you jump in there and you don't know your way around more or less. All right, so that's all the rhetoric that we had from the mark to market, all the stuff here that they all requested, and we'd send that out with the initial BPO order. And then we're going to get here into photos. So again, the front view, capture the property on a 45-degree angle. All the photos have to be in landscape. So if you're going to use your phone, hold on, let me find one of these phones. Going to use your phone, the landscape's going to be like this, not like this. I always send those back when they're like this, but this is going to give you a wide angle. And you're going to go to your phone setting. Now all the phones have wide angle, and you're going to get the biggest picture of the room. When somebody does a BPO and all you see is the corner of the room, that doesn't show me the room. So one of the things I do is I do it like it would be my listing. If it's an interior, I go in and I take a picture from each corner of the room. I take 4 pictures of each room. I also shut all the closet doors and then I shut the bedroom door while I'm taking the pictures. So it doesn't look like, who did it and ran, or if there's junk in the closet. If it's an occupied house, it might be tough to move around, and then you do the best you can. All right, so in the front, you're going to take one front. You're going to do a front left and a front right. Your street, the house number. So there's your street sign. And again, address verification, it's usually the house number on the sidewalk. So in California, on the curb, they have the house numbers sometimes. They don't have the numbers on the house. So you just take a picture of the curb, including part of the house. And then all the rooms that are in there, take a picture of, take a few so you have them. If it's an interior, chances are you're only in there one time. You don't want to leave, go home and see your thumbs in all the pictures. If it's a drive-by and you're driving and you're going to shoot it from your window and your mirror's in the picture, they're going to be like, oh my God, look at this guy. There's his mirror in the picture. And they may not send it back, but they definitely won't use you again. So make sure you line it up. I put both windows down as I roll up to the house. I hold the phone out, boom, 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 boom. I pull up a little bit. I swing around. I'm in and out in minutes. Not even minute. I bet you less than a minute. I have the drive-by photos done. In the interior, I take my time going through because I'm always looking for something. I always want to find a way to adjust the house to fit. I'll look for peeling paint, water damage. I'll look for torn carpet or the carpet. You know how the carpet's rippled up sometimes? I'll look for that. I'll put, as a repair, I'll put stretch carpet, but I'll put it if the carpet looks terrible and there's nasty stains like pet stains, I'll take a picture of the carpet and I'll include it. Say carpet will need to be replaced and possible subfloor damage. So like cat urine. I even had a house that had pigs. They were raising pigs in it. And pig urine is freaking overwhelmingly gross. So on that, they had to pull the carpet out, the padding, the subfloor, and they actually had to strap the beams and cut the old beams out on the floorboards because they couldn't get rid of the pig urine. So it ended up becoming a massive job. So, and here, of course, every time you do something, everything's going to go on our was it, what's that property thing called again? That we let the seller lists all his things on?
The off-market thing? What are you talking about?
The property disclosure, SRP.
Oh, the seller disclosure.
They'll fill it out, but they haven't occupied the property. They do have photos. Obviously, I send them all these photos, but of course, the bank's always going to play a little numb and dumb, more or less. So I go through the rules again with comparables, try to keep everything square feet the same. I'll do, if it's a 4-bedroom and I have to use a 5-bedroom house, I'll adjust for it. A lot of the 4-bedroom houses have a loft and the 5th bedroom was an option. So if your square footage is the same, chances are it's the same model. They opted for that 5th bedroom as the loft. But I will adjust for the bedroom. In that case, I'd only do, wherever it is, I'd only do $5,000 for the extra bedroom. Because if the other house has the loft, it's, it doesn't really, you're at the same square footage. There's not a ton of stuff that would change. And, unless we're in like Red Rock Country Club or Southern Highlands Country Club or one of these up by Rick and Terry, up there, and McDonald Ranch, those custom homes, there's definitely more value on that. I also offer to send the MLS printouts. I send the tax records. Just if you do and you made a mistake, make sure you triple check, because if you send them copies of all the MLSs, the availables and the solds, and you get the square footage wrong or the close date wrong or something like days on the market, and they look at it and they go, man, look at this guy. He freaking wrote it one way, or his team is terrible. He doesn't do anything. So this is going to be available. We'll put this up in the site so that you can use it to guide you. And then I wanted to jump real quick just into MLS to just show you how simple this is. So I just learned yesterday, well, not yesterday, it happened to me 3 times and I couldn't figure it out. And then yesterday I had to call CoreLogic. So my MLS wouldn't let me change, do price reductions on my listings. So there's something with Chrome that every time I changed it, you submit it, and I'd leave because that's what I've been doing for years. And I come back and the price wasn't changed. And I'm like, who changed it back? So I called CoreLogic a couple of times. So there's definitely something with our MLS and the California, Southern California, Northern California. I don't have the problem, but with ours, there's an issue with the Chrome extension and doing updates, just so you guys are prepared. So let me just jump in here real quick. Give me a second. I'm going to bring up my MLS. And it's really simple. I pull all if I had, let's say, 20 VPOs that I was doing, the first thing I'll do is pull the tax records. I pull all the comps. I put them all in a folder together. I name the folder with the property address. And I put BPO, obviously, to differentiate it from a listing or listing appointment. And then after I pull the whole group that's going for whoever it is, whoever ordered them, then I'll go in and next I will make the adjustments, and then I'll have them typed. So the one of the ways when we got super busy, what we did was we had a field person go out and take the photos. So we, again, as time changed, that changed. It used to be $15 a house, then it went up to 20. And sometimes we even do 25 a house. California, I do 25. But let's say at 20. So at 20 a house. So if I have 20 BPOs due, and I go, okay, Ed, you got 20 houses to shoot. Here's what you need. And then he knows he's got to get two lefts, two rights, two dead center. He's got to get the house number. He's got to get the street sign. And I always say 4 streets. Take 4 streets. And sometimes what will happen is you won't even realize it. There's a finger in the way or the mirror is in the way. And then what am I going to do? Go back? Now you're in a rush to get these done, and then you got to go back and kind of make that adjustment. All right, so I'm opening my MLS. Let's see if we could get this done. Why isn't this showing up? I have too many windows on my computer. Man, I'm good. Okay. I work with 6 screens, 2 iPads, and all my phones are up here at once. Okay, so first thing I go in, I pull a tax record, and then I try to match my listings onto that. So I'll go into search. I go residential. I'm definitely going to do active. Coming soon doesn't really make a difference. I'm going to do under contract contingent on sale, under contract no show. I'll also do comp sold only and sold. So solds go 180 days. I like 120. So if there's too many to choose from, I'll pick the most recent. Then I'm going to do, if it's single family, I'm going to pick single family. Then I'm going to go down and pick 1-story or 2-story. And then I'm going to go up here and I'm going to pick the property address. So I'm going to do within a mile of, let's say, let's pick something here. What was that house we just had? Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Bear with me. Well, actually, you know what we'll do? We'll put my my listing up there. 8417 Starstruck. Okay. Now let's see what we get here. So there we go. I bring that down. So I'm within a mile. It's a 3-bedroom, so I'm going to go 3 to 4 bedrooms. Square footage, if I'm not mistaken, it's like 2,500. So I'm going to do 2,300. So I'm going to do 2,000 to 2,500 square feet. And within a mile, so there's a lot. And I'm going to bring them up. And again, I always want the closest comps. And I'd love to keep it in the subdivision. That's my favorite, actually. Well, let's see. I think I got to learn how to adjust this grid because at one time I had it where the subdivision showed up. Let me see if I could find it. No, it's not that one. Not that one. Where did it go? Let's see. Well, we'll use this one and we're gonna wing it. All right. So where is my property? That one should be at the top of the list. 8417. Where is it? Let me go back. I obviously did something wrong. 8417 Starstruck. If I'm that guy that let his listing expire, that's going to blow. Let's see. Where the heck is it? Hold on a second. Oh, there it is. I didn't let it expire. Okay. All right. Okay, so it should be here somewhere. That's so weird why it's not coming up. I also bring this up to whatever 100. I do that when I'm searching for buyers also, so I can get everything in. All right, so I'm going to go from memory. So I'm 2,300 square feet. So I'm going to pick this sold. I did tell them we needed to be at 599, but you can only do so much with people. So the comps definitely are jumping around here. If we go outside the subdivision, they change. So my subdivision is a gated subdivision. And it isn't this one, is it? No, this isn't it. Anyway, so I'll go out, I'll pick my most similar comps. And let me double check. I think let me see my square footage. 2366, 2002. And I have a pool, so I got to go back and I have to add in for the pool. That's what I have to do. Let me go back and redo this. So I'm going to do sold. I'm going to do within a mile of 8417 Starstruck. There it is. Oh no, I did the wrong one. Okay. That's probably what happened. Why isn't Starstruck coming up? 8417 Starstruck. And Martin, you need to go sell this thing for me. That's weird. This isn't working for me today. Of course, because I have people here watching me. I hate when people watch me. I hate to even talk or read in front of people. 17 Starstruck. I'm super self-conscious. Yeah, that's Starstruck. I spelled it right. That's so weird. It's not coming up. 8417. Here, this should have been easy. For some reason, I'm hitting the wall. And I'm not even tired. Usually, I'm tired when I have issues. Good luck. All right, hold on a second. I don't type very fast either. I'm not like Heidi. This text star.
I can type exceptionally fast.
Okay, so here it is. So why am I having such a problem? $8417 Starstruck. Okay, let's go back. Sold. Let's do 2 miles. 8417 STR. But you need to call the MLS and have this fixed.
I'll get right on it.
Yeah, well, you know everybody. You've been around. You're a freaking rock star.
Unfortunately, they know me too, so that might be a problem.
All right. Oh, there it is. Hey, look at that. I had to put Avenue in. Okay, first. There we go. I got it. Now I feel so much better. I thought for a while I was dropping the ball. And I was, but it's okay. I got it. Let's do 2000. 2000 to 2500. And detached single story. Always make sure you hit detached. Sometimes the condos come up. You start pulling them and then you realize, oh my gosh, what did I do? Pool. That'll change everything. Okay. So I'm going to go from 2 miles to a mile. Hopefully that won't wreck everything. All right. So here we are. So the way this should work is the property you're doing, if it's listed, it should come right up. So here it is that little pencil. Okay, so I want to match it as best as I can. So I'm going to go through here. So I'm going to look at this one here. So here's one for 525. So why is that one 525? What's the difference? Looks a lot different from my house. Oh, you know what? My Starstruck is a single star. That's the problem. I'm the guy that doesn't know his own listing. All right, hold on. And looking at the comps is a lot easier. There's only 3 now, so I knew that would happen. Okay. All right, so here's what I have. So I have a sold on Rusty Rifle, 0.5 miles away, 2,230 square feet with the pool, but it's only 515. And then I have another one, 0.6, that's 490, and it's 2,000 square feet. I'm going to take a look at both of them. This one kind of looks like mine. Pretty similar. They have the textured ceiling. So this is a big ordeal, the textured ceiling now. To scrape it, it costs bank. But typically people scrape the ceilings. Okay. Let's go back and look at mine. Mine's got a 3-car garage. I think this one had a 2-car. Am I correct? Yeah. So let's go back and let's make that. And I'm making believe I don't know the house, even though I do forget a lot of stuff. Let's put a 3-car garage. Let's go out a little further. Let's make this 210 days. And we only have 2 now. So we, of course, might have mine, and we have this other one here on Mission. So we're going to look at this one on Mission. And they only have 1 photo on the MLS. Well, that's not a good thing. Definitely don't want to use that. All right, so we're going to have to expand our search. We're going to go to 2 miles, and now there's 7. Okay, so as I go out 2 miles, it definitely seems like my listing's overpriced, doesn't it? So here's 550. Let's click on this guy and see what makes him similar. He's got a 3-car garage. LVP floors, fresh paint. Looks like they painted the cabinets. They definitely painted the cabinets. Got tile in the bedrooms. You can see them. The touch-up paint's a little rough here. They didn't paint the whole bathroom. They just touched it up. And there's the pool. Okay. So let's go back and look at our subject property again. 3-car garage. Not the best landscaping. He actually has wood floors instead of LVP. Crown moldings. He did all the trim work. The guy was a finished carpenter, older guy. He's got granite countertops. It's a basic, basic other than the trim work and stuff. You've got the plantation shutters. I would adjust for that if we needed to. And then I have the backyard with the pool. And then he has solar heaters for the pool. All right, so let's go back and let's see if any of these are going to be close that we could use. So the closest one is going to be this 575. And you see how this guy took this front picture, Martin? He took it holding his phone the wrong way.
Yeah, portrait. Yeah.
Up and down. It looks terrible, yeah, in portrait. So you always want the best angle. Here he cut off corners. I mean, these are like terrible marketing photos. But look at this. He did the same thing with the pool. So like this backyard doesn't throw me. Carpet throughout the house. LVP in bathrooms. It's basic. I guess everything's basic. I mean, we could use this and we could adjust up. So instead of granite, he has tile countertops. He does have stainless steel appliances, tile floors. So this is one we could use and we can adjust up with. All right, so I would keep that one. Which one was that? That was the 575, and he's 1.2 miles away. Also, mine is gated. Let's see if this guy's got in a gated community. If not, then we'd have to add for the gate also. Let's poke through. Yeah, it's gated. Perfect. Okay, so this one's going to work. So we're going to include this one. And then we're just going to, for condition, we're going to make some changes. All right, is there anything else we can use? These two are definitely out of line at 900. Let's look at this one for 510. Let's see if this one has potential. Nice little pool. Fair backyard. Again, he's got tile, painted cabinets, gray walls. So ours had the crown moldings. So again, we'll adjust up for certain things, and we'll adjust up for the wood floors. Let's see what else here. This is kind of an investor flip, I'm betting. I don't know why they didn't paint that gold, but let's see which one that one was. That's 510, so that's going to hurt us a little bit. So the only available have is my 606, which should be worth 599, but we're gonna have that one there. And then we were looking at this one for 550. So if I don't have enough availables, I'll use these under contracts as an available. See this one here under contract? I could use them as an available because he didn't close yet. But I think we opened this one and we looked at it. And there was something, yep. This was the painted one. We could use that one too. All right, so we have 2 solds and 1 available only, and ours, we can't use ours. So we're gonna have to extend our search even further. So sometimes this could be a horrible freaking taking forever, and you're gonna go in here and be like, oh my God, when is this gonna end? I've had that. If this is on your second BPO and you have 100 to do, you're gonna want to just throw yourself out of a window. So I hope, Martin, you live in a single story or a 2-story?
Live in a 2-story.
Oh, all right. Well, throw yourself out of a downstairs window.
There you go. It's
I mean, or don't throw yourself down a window. There's that.
All right, let's extend the close date. Say 210. Let's do 265. And hopefully we'll have more. So we have 18. All right. So I don't want to really use this 670 because let's take a quick look at it. He's got travertine. He's got crown moldings. What the heck is that? A tin ceiling? Woof. Okay. Yeah, I couldn't live with that. Weird tile on the kitchen. All right. We may have to use it just so we have. Well, I think it might be too high. Let's see what the backyard looks like. Hold on. A heated pool. Blah blah blah. I should have put close to Floyd Lamb Park in mine. I didn't. Carpet is freshly cleaned. Blah blah blah. All right, let's go back. I picked the worst property. I know when I was doing the CMA for this guy, I had all kinds of issues. But of course, now that we're recording, I had to pick this one. So use this 575. We're going to use the 550 as our other available. Let's use this one since we're here just taking up time. This is 575. So I have, what do I have? I have 1, 2 solds. And we'll use this 565. There we go. So we go in here. Let's just refine our search. And then what I do is I go by status so that I have my availables up here and then my solds. And then I print this grid form and I put it in the file because over here we're going to have the miles. If you don't, the listing won't have the miles from your subject. So I always print this grid form. So my years are all close. That worked out. My square footage is all somewhat close, except for the 670. He's 2,600 square feet. So this is going to have to be adjusted down. Everybody has a pool. Now, if I was in a situation where it's unique and this is the only house with a pool, and all the comps within 2 miles don't have pools, then I would just adjust for the pool. I'd take the pool out. I'd say adjust down. You know, on all the comps, I'd add 20,000 for a newer home. So anything 2,000 or older, I'd add 20,000. Anything 2,000 or newer, anything older, it's only 10,000. Pool. Because actually, if the pool's older than 2,000, chances are, you know, you could be running issues with the stucco, you know, the granite pool, gunite pool. Maybe there's cracks and then you have to redo the whole pool. So it could run into a ton of money. All right. So I'm going to use, let's say we decide to use these. Well, this is my subject, but let's say it wasn't, since I can't find another one. I'm getting frustrated. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do by price and then I'm going to go back by status. So what I'll do is I'll print the 3 availables in one pile, the comps, and then I'll print the 3 solds in the next pile. And then I'll go through, and so as we have them, so let's bring them up now as listings. Hold on 1 second. What I do to save time, right, is I'll copy and paste into the BPO form. So I'll go address, copy. I'll get to the BPO form, I'll paste. and then I'll take these little slashes out. RMLS does the slashes, the CRMLS and MetroList don't. So I could actually cut and paste those right in. So you could cut and paste all the stuff as you go off of each listing, and it makes it a little easy. If you also want to put the summary, you can. Like I said, it's going to depend. Some agents really hodgepodge up that summary. But I print them, I save them, I put them in a folder, I go back, and then I still print them to make the adjustments. Some people don't. Some people could do the adjustments. Heidi probably has a way for her little mouse to turn into a marker and her to do the adjustments. I don't. I do them with a pen, so I print them. I put them in a little stack and I paper clip them. But let's say this one right here, which is the one we definitely had to do adjustments with, right? So we're at 670. So I have to make some adjustments. I'm going to adjust square footage down. So I'm 300 square feet less. So I'm over 384 square feet roughly. So I'm going to adjust that down for sure. So let's say up in this area, I'm going to give it, they're both 3 bedrooms, 3 baths. I'm going to give it, I'm going to adjust down. I know I need to come way down, but I'm going to adjust. I think it's overpriced. I think you can see this thing sitting for a while. I'll adjust for that square footage 10,000. That'd be enough. So that'll bring this down to 660, which is still high. And that's going to be my highest listing. All right. And if we go back and we look at the solds, I think the solds are all pretty close. The solds are all close in square footage. The only thing we had to check to see is if each one of these were gated. If not, we'll adjust for it being gated. It has the pool. They all have the pool. Let's take a quick look. Gate code. Yep. So this one is gated. Let's look at this one. And as you do these, you'll have your own routine down and it'll be quicker. This one is gated. And this one is gated. See, they all have gate codes. Okay. And they're all higher and they all reduced. So realistically, let's say if these are our 3 solds that we're using, we're all within the square feet. I'm a 3 bedroom. These are 4 bedrooms. Again, the square footage is close. So I'm 2366. This one is 2387, but it's a 4 bedroom. So somewhere it's losing that bedroom. So what is a bedroom? 300 square feet. So if I go back on my subject property, I know it has a formal living room, has a family room, has an office area. The office area is the size of the bedroom. It could be that office area could have been the 4th bedroom. So that I won't adjust to the bedroom on. I'll keep those the same because I think that would work. So this would put my sold comps at 565 and the 575. So in reality, that's probably where I need to be on this listing. And then we adjusted this one down. And if this wasn't our subject, the other one would be at 606. So that's how we'd use our comps. Do I wish we picked a better property where everything was the same square footage and I just put it up? I do. I picked the wrong one. I was going to use my house. And then I thought, wait, I think I'm the only 3,066. I don't want to pick something that's not going to work. So I picked this dopey property. But anyway. All right. So that's it for my screen share. So I have a bunch of stuff. I have a BPO company list that I'm going to clean up a little bit. I have to update it. So there are some companies that are no longer around. And then there are some new companies. And what we're going to need to go in and register for these BPO companies, we're going to need the office tax ID. We're going to need sometimes the broker's license. So up in Summerlin, it would be Vera.
Yeah.
In Green Valley, it would be Clyde right now. And then when Southwest opens, whoever that ends up being. Then we will need the office E&O insurance. Sometimes they ask for the liability and the workman's comp policy. I believe I didn't get the new one yet. The one I have from March, I think it's all combined in the same insurance form. So the E&O, the liability, the workman's comp, and all that's all in one form. And then we have that. And then they may ask for a copy of your license. They usually don't. They'll ask for your license number and the expiration date. And you upload that. So now this works different ways. So as a broker, theoretically, and I've always done this my way, I've always gone in and I've set myself up in these BPO platforms as broker because my license is broker. I'm actually a B.004961.3.LLC. So since I have my own branch, I'm my own branch broker. So I don't need Vera or Clyde or JC's license. I'd be the broker and the agent. And I've always been, since my snafu at Prudential, I've always been a co-corporate broker so that I don't ever get in that position where I don't sign for my own listings. So I left Prudential and I had a massive lawsuit over my listings. And it was a 10-year battle. But any case, so again, you'll put your license date in, the E&O, broker's license if you're not the broker. You're going to put that liability and the workman's comp in. And then you're going to look it through the portal and kind of figure out if it's a portal. If it's a portal, it's going to give you like a time. It's going to say, we're going to assign a BPO to you and it has to be back within 2 days, or it has to be back in 24 hours. If it's 24 hours, we pay this much. If it's 3 days, we pay that much. So make sure you familiarize yourself with what they pay. Some companies barely pay anything. They just want inspections. That's another thing. Single Source, who I know the owner, well, not the owner. I guess he's probably vice president or something. At one time, they were a big BPO producer. Now that's kind of slacked off, and they're doing mortgage inspections. Doesn't say that. It says property inspection. So what a mortgage inspection is it's the mortgage company just checking to see if the house is all there, and there's nothing crazy going on. And you drive by, you take 3 pictures, you upload 3 solds and the tax record, and you're done. It's not a formal BPO, but of course it's less than a formal BPO. The big money to be made is going to be the divorce attorneys. It's going to be the agents doing the estate sales. Like Mitch does a bunch of estate sales. A lot of times he'd have to get a third-party BPO. So those agents that do, what is that called now, the estate sale? Probate.
Probate, yeah.
Probates. So if you find a probate attorney, we had a probate attorney in Corona in California. We did a ton of BPOs, a ton. And those usually range, if it's through an attorney or another agent, $80 to $100 for the, basically the drive-by, because it's pretty much they need it, and it doesn't matter that, the end user is paying for it, and the attorney doesn't usually care, and it's quicker. So I have that one commercial client I said I have, they literally cash at me same day as I send them in. So whatever it is I do, I'll discount if it's more. The actual inspections, we actually might have an inspection contract that was still tinkering. I'm waiting to get it. Right now, Field Services is doing a lot of those inspections, and they're the guys that would do the trash out and mow the lawns. They've been doing them. And a lot of times they get the wrong house, or they mark it occupied and it's vacant. And it's just the tier level of the person. So instead of the person being a licensed broker who sells houses and knows the Willows in Summerlin, it's a guy that just moved here from Arizona, let's say, and he got this job and he's getting $6 a house. So he's going to roll past it and take these quick pictures, and he might not know if it's occupied or not. Whereas you might know, like, wow, over here in the Willows, if you have a dead bush, it's freaking $50 a week. There's no way they wouldn't have replaced that bush, So it's probably vacant. So one of the things I'll do is, depending on if it's a mortgage inspection, I'll actually get out of the car and I'll go look to see if the electric meter's tagged, or if the outside spigot works. If there's no water and that meter's tagged, nobody's in that house unless it's a squatter. So then I'd mark it vacant. So a lot of times, depending on who the actual investor or the bank is, that bank may opt to go replace the bush, or they may opt to secure the house. And what they'll do is they'll send a field service to rekey the back door. They'll go in and take a bunch of pictures. If there's personal property, they'll just take pictures and leave, relock the back door, put a lockbox. If it's completely empty, it's completely empty. Either way, if there's bits and pieces, technically you have to do a personal property eviction. So and I think it varies, but I'd have to look it up. It's been a while, between 35 and 45 days. One of the things we do, so like my listing up there on Starstruck that we just looked at, let's say that was a property I went to, I found it vacant. We rekeyed the back door. I went in and I see it's loaded full of furniture and personal belongings. But let's say the power's not on and the pool's green. I know the pool's green. Obviously, the water's not working. They're not maintaining the pool. We can mark it vacant. So a lot of times I'll say to the bank, let me get you an estimate to move the belongings into the garage, and we rekey the garage key separately. And that wouldn't fit. I mean, it's a 3-car garage. There's a lot of stuff in that house. Let's say it does. I'd have a mover or the contractor. There are a bunch of contractors that'll do that. They'll say, hey, we're gonna if we get the trash out, we'll go in and we'll move these. So a lot of times I'll say, hey, you'll probably have the trash out. Go move all the belongings into the garage. You rekey it differently, and we'll just hold that key. And then that contractor will do that. Nobody will have access. We could actually at that point even list the property because everything will be in the garage instead of waiting it out. If somebody comes back and they say, oh, my father had his whatever crypto coins there, and you freaking trashed them out. So, and some agents will get in trouble for trashing out belongings before that personal property thing expires. So one of the things we do is we will also, let's say we get it and there's a load of stuff in there, we'll send a certified letter to the previous owner. If the address is different, and it's say a California address, they'll receive it. If let's say it's that address, maybe they have their mail forwarded and they'll receive it. We'll do that twice. We'll also post a note on the front door, and that's usually sufficient for the personal property eviction. And again, that's jading off the BPO thing. But for something simple, so let's say, so we were talking about breaking this down to make it make sense. So if I have somebody doing those photos for me, like if we have a kid, let's say my son or my daughter or somebody, and I say, all right, Joey, I want you to go out and I want you to take these pictures. Here are the addresses. Here's what you do. This, and this. Send me the pictures after you leave each house. And because what'll happen is you'll get confused which picture was what and which house was what. And then you'll be 10 into it and you'll be completely lost. That's what happened to me when I had that big Aquan BPO thing. I ended up going back out and retaking the photos literally the night before, and I had to change all my comps because I mixed all the photos up. So I always give an MLS sheet or tax record, and I mark it. I put them in order, the order you're going to do the photos, and then that's the way the photos would come in. And then we upload them into Dropbox or into OneDrive at the house. Somebody in the office will check them to make sure the photos are good before they leave. So now you could do it literally within seconds. You can email them to your assistant and say, hey, take a look at these photos. Make sure they're good to go before I leave. Everything's fine. Great, Martin. Go to the next house. And then you go to the next house. And then, so what I would do is I pull my comps, or I'd have, as you get super busy, you have an assistant pull your comps and you just make the adjustments. Right now, in the beginning, I would pull my own comps and I'd have somebody type it. If you don't want to type it, if you're not hiding, you can't type 400 words a minute. You can literally have somebody type BPOs, and that's a VA thing. So I've always had a VA company type my BPOs. I've had them do my HUD BPOs. I've had them do all my REO BPOs. I've even had them log into the portal and type them. Because honestly, my time typing isn't good. I misspell everything. I'll get the street backwards or transpose the numbers. So I have that VA do that. So if it's a company that's just typing BPOs, it could be $3 to $4 a BPO. If it's your VA, then that would fit in their in their hourly thing, which I think is a nice thing to have, because if you look at all the stuff we talk about, so somebody has to go to all these websites and register. So let's say you do 2 a day. You're going to upload your documents. You're going to type the stuff in. You know what I mean? It's going to take, it's just a pain in the tail. It'd be nice to have somebody do it. If you have a kid or an assistant or wife or a girlfriend, you don't even have to tell us if you have a girlfriend, and we wouldn't care. We just know somebody's doing it. And they could just do that for you and it's done. Or you could do it yourself. A lot of times, like I said, it's easier to have somebody else. As Heidi always reminds me, it's better to have somebody do the $8 an hour work than us do it, because we don't do it as well as another person would, nor do we have the bandwidth to do it. So, we tend to get ourselves frustrated. But I think the BPOs are a nice little way to go. I think it's a nice little income. And again, you're not leaving and you're not driving around unless you're doing the photos. And if you just cut your area down, so Martin, you're up in Summerlin, or you're around near Summerlin?
Yeah, I'm only 10 minutes from the office. I live 10 minutes from the office, Summerlin.
So you could probably pick 15 zip codes, because it's going to be by zip code. I always do county, so I always do Clark and Nye County, and then what I get is that great guy that sends me the Laughlin BPO or the Mesquite BPO.
Yeah.
I did have a BPO company that I had all their BPO work, and I think we did probably like 300 BPOs a month for them. So I had to take whatever it was. So if it was Mesquite, somebody was driving to Mesquite. You know, so that I would tell the photo guy or the BP. So at one point I had a BPO girl that would, I had a guy take the photos and then we split the BPO in half.
Yeah.
So if the BPO was 60 and we paid 20 for the photo guy, we'd get 20 each for the BPO. And it makes sense. You know, they would do, you know, pull everything. I would just check it and submit it. Or at one point, that person becomes better at BPOs than you, then they can just run with it and do it, you know. And then you're making passive income because you're making $20 a BPO doing nothing, you know, technically.
Yeah.
Miss Heidi, do you have any input for us? You've done a ton of BPOs in your day.
I think it's awesome. I'm seeing a lot more posts on a lot of the Facebook groups about people wanting it for extra income. So anyway, I think it's time to sharpen our skills.
Yeah. And if anything, you'll know your values. So I had one girl who was a new agent that started working with me when we were at Prudential. She was a buyer's agent. So I had her actually working on the BPOs. I mean, she first started doing the photos and she'd drive around and get all the photos. And then she said, hey, I'm not making enough just doing these photos. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you shouldn't be sitting there at the desk typing these, you know, BPOs and pulling all these comps. I know it well enough. Give me a chance. So I said to her, okay. And that's when we came up with the $20 for the photo, $20 to do the BPO, and then I would get 20 on my end. We got to the point where she was up like all night doing them. You know, that's when we were doing the 1,000 BPOs. She did a good share of them herself. Mm-hmm. She would send her boyfriend out to take the photos. So she probably gave him $10 instead of 20 to do the photos. And she would actually, but she knew her numbers so well that if I got a listing and I'd be like, oh, it's 123 Terraza Street in Seven Hills. And she'd be like, yeah, we just had a BPO over there. It's about $1.6 million. Sure enough, she'd be freaking dead on because she, you know, it's good practice getting in there and doing this. She became a great agent, opened her own office, built a big property management business, and, you know, closed. 1 year we closed at Prudential, and this is going back to Prudential, it's a long time ago. I think we closed. I was like, I made the top 10 for the first time. I had 3 buyers agents, and this one girl did mostly BPOs. She made $250 in sales. Her commission was $250, and we were on a 50-50. So she made me $250 for her $250. And then she made me another, I don't know, probably $100,000 in BPOs back then, just whacking out her BPOs. But she was super aggressive. So her big days were the holidays. She says, people are coming to Vegas and I'm going to eat them up. So Thanksgiving, she was out showing houses. Christmas Day, she was out showing houses. New Year's Day, she was out showing houses. Every holiday, she'd knock off more deals than anyone else because nobody works. So, I mean, I hate to say it, Las Vegas people go away. We get a break. We're going to go away for the long weekend. She always worked those weekends and she did well. And so I tell the story that she was my greatest agent, but she was obviously, you know, women get pregnant. She was pregnant and she worked literally up till she gave birth typing BPOs. So after she hit, God, I'm going to say like the last month when she was just about due, she stopped doing showings and just did BPOs. And she literally gave birth at home in her kitchen and then went back and submitted her BPOs. She was a bulldog. Like nobody was better than her. So I still to this day talk to her. I check in on her once a month. She's not in real estate anymore. She married rich. Oh, but she also has like 5 kids or 6 kids. So obviously being home didn't help. So any case, but you could make a lucrative income. It's, you know, again, it's extra money. It'll also sharpen your numbers. You know, one of the things when I broke into California is I started grabbing some VPOs and did the inspections myself so that I could know, you know, what I was facing. And again, as this starts coming in, as you start, just like a regular listing, honestly, if I called you and I want to list my house, you're going to come look at my house. Yeah. You're going to look at the houses around it. You're going to pull comps. You're going to do a CMA, right?
Yeah.
So a BPO is just a little better than a CMA, but a little less than an appraisal. Yeah. You know, as far as detail wise goes. So it's good to kind of pull your numbers together and sharpen your skills.
Well, you become a better agent.
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely a better agent.
You become a better agent.
Extra money. Yeah, I mean, it's extra money. If I, when
Exactly.
we stopped doing the BPOs, it was because we were too busy, and I kept it going for as long as I could, to the point where whoever I could fit into that role, I fit into that role.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to, work from home? You're a mom with 2 little kids. You could work from home and stay home with your kids. You want to type BPOs,
Yeah.
and I do a BPO training, and they get to the point where they're better than me. The more
Yeah.
you do it, you become,
Yeah.
the student is better than the teacher. So
Yeah.
as I expand, I'm not focused on one particular area. People tend to get a little better. So, but I think it's a no-brainer to jump in. As soon as I get that list up, I recommend going there, start signing up,
Well,
take what you could get, start knocking a few of them off. If some pay as soon as the BPO is submitted, some pay in a 30-day period where you actually get like a decent. It used to be a check. Now they actually wire the money. I used to have to wait for checks. We were doing. I think my mark-to-market check alone was like $2,000-3,000, and it covered my office expense.
Mhm.
And then the next one, my Wells Fargo stuff that I did, backup BPOs. That's another thing. I
Mhm.
always say, and this is kind of a neat thing too, if you go to the office. So obviously my listing at 606 is a little high. We saw the comps. If you were to say, hey, you know what, Joe, you know what, your seller's a little stubborn. I went and saw the house. He needs to be like, I've been talking to him. I can't get him to release it. Why don't you let me do a backup BPO for you? Give me $80. I'll do that backup BPO. Let's see if we can get you reduced.
Mhm.
And I think that's the avenue that people don't think. So
yeah.
what I started to do is
Yeah.
this year, when I was a little run down and sickly in and out of the hospital, I was a little limited on my traveling around. I picked up a bunch of attorneys and just loss mitigation people, and people doing the forbearance, and I started doing those BPOs for them just as a quick uh, you know roll in. I had somebody go out and take the photos, and that person also picked up lock boxes. So once you start going and you're rolling, that photo guy becomes your weekly property inspection guy on your REO properties. He could become your marketing photo guy on your regular listings. He could be that guy that puts the lockbox on and takes the lockbox off. He could also be the guy that goes and replaces the key when the key's missing.
Yeah.
So as an REO team, that's what you need. So I mean, I couldn't have listed from my loft here in Vegas. I couldn't have and I'm up in my loft right now. I couldn't have listed 306 properties in California and sold them if I had to go replace every key. So ideally, you partner with people. So usually, whoever I allow to do that field work has to be obviously an agent. I'd like them to be an agent. When you're super busy, I had a lot of retired agents that had worked for me that were retired and they just want to make some extra money. And they went around, they're kind of in the business, but they're not driving people around. So they did those field inspections, and they feel part of the mix. So it's good. I'm getting to myself to the point where I'm going to be your field guy, and I'm going to go
Oh,
out.
I'm
But
old
it's a
too,
nice.
so I'm old.
It's a nice little add-in, and
Well,
it's a
like,
nice way of putting somebody on the team.
yeah.
If you find a newer agent in the market center, and they have nothing to do, you could say, "Hey, you want to go out and take some BPO photos for me? I'll pay you $15 a house. You're going to take 3 photos and send them to me." And they might be like, Martin, I could do that. I could buy gas for the week. Shit, yeah, I'll go do it.
Yeah,
I have this little Honda or whatever I have. It's $13. Well, no longer. Gas is coming
no,
down though.
yeah.
But I used to drive to California, and I had a Mazda 6. $13 to get to California, $13 back. I also had a Denali. It was $180 to California and $180 back.
Yeah.
So you think about it, you say, well, let me find a way to make this work. So there's a ton of stuff. Any questions, big guy?
Yeah, actually a couple. So when you're doing the BPOs, how many sales comps and how many active comps?
3.
3
3 solds, 3 availables.
3 solds, 3
in a very blue moon, a BPO form might require 4, but it's really hard to find 4.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard. You're going to be going outside on the 4th. I think on Fannie Mae we did 4, if I'm not mistaken. It's been so long. since there's been any volume. Now, if it's a listing, I mean, I would even prepare it on a listing. If you're going on a listing, you can say, I can do a CMA for you like any other agent, or I can do a broker price opinion,
Yeah.
which is pretty much what the banks require. So now on refis, a lot of the banks are just doing a BPO. They're not ordering an appraisal.
Yeah.
And they're using that to discover the value of the house. On a cash out, they're doing an appraisal. But anything else, if it's just a refi, then they're doing a BPO.
BPO. And yeah, it's when you're going on a listing appointment, that's another feather in your cap. I do these.
Yeah. When I used to tell a seller, you know, at one time we did 1,000 BPOs a month. I mean, I don't know. I probably know the value better than, you know, I don't try to blow the person away. I mean, I've gone up against some of the big agents in town, and their answer has always been, I'd like to be in a one visit close on a listing. If you have to go back a second time, it happens. Like, oh, we have other people coming. I always like to be the last guy.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're not. So there were plenty of times I went up against other agents that had a good reputation, and the first thing they'd say is, "Oh, Joe Iellucci's an REO guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to sell your house."
Oh.
And then when I hear that, you know, when I make the call, "Hey, where are we at, Martin? Are we ready to sell your house?" "Oh, I talked to such and such, and he told me you're an REO guy." And I said, "Well, honestly, I'll be honest with you. If Wells Fargo, one of the biggest banks in the country, uses me to list and value their properties, that's probably a good thing. Not only that, but the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, actually uses me as a listing agent. Not only that, I also trained all the other agents in 8 states."
Yeah.
And then how about this? Who was it that told you that? And so they'll say a name. And I'll say, "Oh, well, I've sold 15,000 homes. How many homes has his whole office sold?
Yeah.
Why don't we do that?" Ask him about what he sold.
Yeah.
And ask him, you know, how many states is he licensed in? You know, how long has he been doing business?
Yeah.
You know, and little things like that. You know, if it's somebody that's 3 or 4 years and they just dress flashy. I had an agent that when I was at Prudential, I was partners with a girl, and she recruited a bunch of people, and they're all, because they all admired her. All these young guys were on the team, and I called them her ice cream buddies because they were all young. And they were all in love with her, and they'd all come in suits and stuff. And I'd be in my, you know, sweatshirt or, you know, Met hat or something. And I'd be like, "Dude, what's up?" And they'd be like, "Oh, someday I'm going to be better than you." And I'd be like, "All right, let's see it. Bring it on." So there are times like I'd have, like, you'd be like, "Oh, Joe, I have a problem with this property. And it's the agent is John Doe." I'm like, "Who's the broker?" And believe it or not, a lot of these guys became brokers. And I'll be like, "Oh yeah, he was one of my ice cream buddies. Let me call him." And then, you know, I'll call the agent and I'll be like, I'll use Martin. "You tell Martin that Joe Iellucci said that we're not going out for ice cream. It's not one of my ice cream buddies. And we're right. So you need to do this, this, and this. And if he has a problem with it, he needs to call me." And then that usually blows the thunder out of the agent's pockets. And, you know, and then he'll go to the broker, and the broker will be like, you know, "All right. Let's roll over." So I love that, though. That's one of my favorites. Doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes. It happened with this guy like 3 times. So I did have fun with it.
You had fun. Another question. When you said the one you were doing, how much would you adjust for the gate if gate versus non-gated?
All right. Well, so gated, I'd give the gated 5,000.
Yeah.
Typically. Guard gated, I go as high as 15. So there's going to be pockets where it's guard gated. So if you're in, let's say, so down in I know in Summerlin, there's a couple guard gated. I'm going to use Southern Highlands because I'm closest to it. So in Southern Highlands, we have Southern Highlands Country Club that's guard gated, completely different house. You need to be in there. And then we have
Royal Highlands.
That other one.
Royal Highlands.
Royal Highlands. Yeah, I actually lived in Royal Highlands, so that's perfect. So in Royal Highlands, it's guard gated. It's almost impossible to get in. You know, unless you're going in there for. I sold a lot of houses in there because I lived in there and it was easy to show houses.
I sold houses in there,
yeah. Meet me at the gate. Just tell them you're coming to my house, you know. And then I go in, I drive them around a bunch of houses, but. So guard gated, depending. So in Royal Highlands, we had the 2,000 square foot houses, and then we had the 5,000 square foot
ones. Yeah,
it was built into 2 different tiers, you know, and it's kind of split too as you go down Royal Highlands. They're on each side of it. So the smaller houses, I would still give it I'd only give it the 5,000 because there's not that much of a realm difference from the ones outside, like in Via Dana and San Nicola and Valencia and all these little areas outside of it. But the bigger houses, I give more, because when you're talking about $1 million house that's guard gated and $1 million house that isn't, there's a big difference. You know, so I would definitely give more for the guard gated on the higher end house. So and they're a little tricky too on a BPO, because a lot of those, and I can't even tell you how many BPOs I've done in Royal Highlands over the last 10 years. A lot of people didn't update the houses.
That's right.
They got the original. The cabinets are lower.
Yeah.
They have tiny low cabinets. They have this, the old looking granite or tile countertops, and then you look at it, you're like, man, this could have been $1.3 million. Now it's a 990 house.
Yeah.
I also sold one by the gate to an agent from my Corona office. Her and her husband bought it, and they paid $975, and I bet you they put like 200 grand into it by the time they were done. And if you think about it, carpet and tile, that's a lot of square footage. So you're going to put money into it. I tried to sell them a new home because they had those new homes built on the hill behind us. Yeah. I found one on the back of the highway. I was so close to making a deal happen. Was trying to think of the builder, Taylor Morrison. Yeah. It was a Taylor Morrison. They were giving closing costs and all kinds of things. And they were like, we don't like the backyard on the highway. And they ended up in Royal Islands with the house backing the highway.
Yeah.
For almost the same price.
What about adjustments for backing out onto a busy street?
I will adjust. And again, that's why I look at the Google Earth. That's a big difference. A lot of agents won't use that in the comps. And, they won't even look. Google Earth is simple. And that's something that, at Open Door North Repair, the iBuyers, they teach their evaluation people, before you do anything, bring it up on Google Earth. I want to know if they're backing a shopping center. I want to know if and there are houses that back the shopping centers all over town. Yeah, and people miss that all the time. You're not going to find that in the MLS. Nobody's going to put comps in there. We back the dollar Family Dollar store parking lot. They're going to hide that.
Yeah, that's going to be a big issue, because if they're onto the loading docks, these semis are coming in and beep, 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 beep at 3 o'clock in the morning.
And then homeless people hang out in the back. So, that's a disaster. So there are a couple properties I did BPOs and I adjusted $15,000 for that. Yeah. Just because of that. Some people say, I like that I don't have anybody behind me. So that's nice too. So if you're in a 2-story, and I've had a couple listings, $900,000 2-story homes with a beautiful backyard and a pool, and then you look and you're sitting there standing on your patio looking, and all the houses are looking at you.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, this blows. Everybody's looking into my backyard. This is what I thought, So in Royal Highlands, I backed the road. It wasn't so bad. Valley View, we backed Valley View.
Yeah.
It wasn't terrible, but there was nobody behind me when we were in the pool. So that was one of my factors for picking that house. I don't like the idea of everybody looking at me. I'm self-conscious as it is. I don't want everybody in my business, So
Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah, but some people in California, sometimes in San Diego, I've sold people in Vegas houses from San Diego where they're on the off ramp to the highway, and the house was literally under the off ramp, and they're like, "Oh, we're okay with that. We don't mind being on a main road. We just don't want anybody in our yard." I'm like, "Yeah, I got you. I'll put you wherever you want to go."
Yeah, that's what we do. That's what we do. All right.
Yeah. Anything else?
No. What I might have, though, I might want to talk to you at some stage, because I've got some investors from California. I got a guy who owns 175 homes throughout the world.
Oh, nice.
And he's a long story with it. They're from Greek, or they're Greek, or their father was a Greek tailor in San Diego. So he's always looking at property. So he came to mind when we're talking about this. He's always looking for deals. So
I was just on before we got on. Well, not before we got on, earlier today. I was pounding through the auction sites. I was on Service Link.
Yeah.
So HudsonandMarshall.com I go to. There's a Vegas property in the recently foreclosed. So it's a CWCOT. It's a 2-story. It's a patio home, where the homes are like
Yeah.
3 of them. But it's in there. So that obviously would be discounted. So it's on auction now. That'd be a great rental.
Yeah.
If they buy and sell or they buy and rent, that might you go in there and take a look for that one.
I will, because there's a few. I registered on all the sites, all the auction.
Good job. See that? You're on it. So since Tuesday, you've been productive. I'm proud of you.
Well, I was going doing it. Tuesday was my day, so I think Wednesday I went in. I just blocked time off and I went through.
Okay.
I had my notes and I logged on to all the sites.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at stuff as they come up. And I would talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And I would just talk to anybody and oh, where do you live? Do you own? Yeah. Oh, I work with a lot of investors. You do? I'd love an investment property. You'd be surprised at what people say. I met people in the grocery store because I always wear my Keller Williams shirts.
I get some Keller Williams shirts, yeah.
And they'll start a conversation with me. I'll play on my phone and somebody will be like, do you know? Even if it's a big agent, and they'll say, do you know this agent? I'll be like, you know what? No, I don't. I only know the agents that are better than me. And there's only about 5 or 10 of them.
Oh,
so I wouldn't know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't know them. So I say stuff like that. And then they'll be like, well, what are you doing? I said, right now, I'm selling an auction property on my phone. And they'll be like, what? And I couldn't be. I might have been texting my wife or you or whoever, but people don't know. And then I'll be like, you know what?
Yeah.
And I use the Keller Williams app all the time. Our mobile app.
Yeah.
I always say, you know what? Why don't I send you my information? And then if you're looking, you can at any time just search on this app and it's got a GPS, wherever you're driving. How many times have you been out driving around? You want to know what that neighbor's house is selling for. You'll have this app and you could do it. Here, what's your number? Let me send it to you. Poof, and I send it to them. So now I have their number. They go in there, create an account, and if they don't, and I go in, and it's even better. If you're in Florida, your sister's house, you could also know how much all those houses are. And you get those people that want to know everything, and they'll be all over that. Like, yeah, I always have to be the smartest guy in the room. I'd like to do that. Drive around and open an app and see what houses are. I utilize all those tools.
I also have a guy who flips all over the country. So, because you're going to have contacts all over the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, we have agents, definitely, that you can. Yeah. The problem, what I try to do is control as much as I can. Obviously, we can't sell in Georgia unless we're licensed in Georgia, but I can pretty much walk them through almost to buying it, and then call an agent and kind of set it up as a referral agent and let them know. And my deals are different than most agents. Unfortunately, I'm a little cocky on a referral. As most agents will be like, oh, just give me 25%. And I'd be like, you know what? I just made this whole deal. I already have the house. You just need to go show it, So that would be something I would reach out to a team leader. And so it would be like the Darren of the office. And I'd say, hey, Darren, do you have an agent in the office that can help me with this transaction? I have this big investor I work with, and there's a property in your area that he wants to buy. I just need him to kind of do the back end and the legwork. Do you have somebody? So then instead of them giving you me, they might give you one of the newer agents that just joined the market center. And if he makes 25% putting this deal together, it's 25% more than he would have made doing nothing.
Okay.
100% of nothing is nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I can probably do it. I think we're going to start like the productivity coaching. I've been saying we should reach out to the productivity coaches all over the country.
There you go.
And start a network that way.
And you've got yourself right there with the productivity coaching. You got yourself a bullpen full of anxious people.
I know.
Those are the
thinking
ones
of that.
They should be doing your BPO photos, and they should be doing your showings for you for practice. Be a showing agent.
Yeah, the wheels are turning.
I would meet with them and I'd say, whatever, Stellar, you're going to be a great agent. How many properties have you shown? Nothing? What? Oh, let's get your feet wet. Let's go on one together. I'll show you how to show one. Here's this new home. Let's make believe it's a vacant house. We'll walk through it. I'll show you how to show it. And then what I'm going to probably do is, because I get busy at times, I'm going to call you to go show, a buyer 1 or 2 houses, and I'll pay you, whatever, to show it if they buy the property.
Yeah.
So we had an agent at Prudential that did that with her team. She did all the deals herself, and her team would go show 3 houses for $200 or 4 houses for $500, whatever it was. And they drive around and, they'd show the houses, they'd come back, they'd sit with her, and they'd write a deal. So I did the same thing with my agents, but then my agents were 50-50. So I would meet with them. They called it a D&P for dog and pony. They'd say, we need Joe for a D&P at 3:00. So the front desk would book it. They'd book the conference room. Somebody like Heidi would walk in. We'd walk him into the conference room. I'd throw all kinds of stuff at him, and then I'd bring in Martin. I'd be like, hey, Martin's coming in. He's going to be the agent that's going to be showing you the properties we're going to pick. I'm going to sit you right down here. So you already have your lender. Do me a favor. Let's just call my guy and see if he can get you a better deal. I'm going to put you on the phone with him while Martin and I are pulling properties. And then I bring you in the back and I go, Martin, pull 6 properties and show us 6 houses. And then you pick the 6 houses. And then sometimes if I remembered, or if you called me, I'd talk to you about the properties, or I'd wait till you were done and came back. And then I'd say, hey, all right, Heidi. So Martin showed you these properties. He said you liked the second one the most. I liked the first one. That's why we picked it. And that's why that one went first. I want to write an offer on the first one. Are you ready to go? Did you talk to my lender? Oh, we can give you a better rate. Perfect. Let's do it now before things change.
Yeah.
And before you know it, I bring you back in, you'd be writing the offer, and I'd leave, and it would be over, and everybody made money. So
it's all good.
It's systemizing. So
yeah.
Anyway,
Excellent.
All these things, we could do 100 classes with different things. So.
Yeah.
But we'll have to come up with them.
There you go.
All right, kids. Is that it? Anything else?
I think so. That's awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Joe. Thank you so
Really
much.
I thought Heidi have some questions for me. No questions?
Well, I'm sure there'll be a ton as soon as I post this. I'm sure we'll have
There you
lots
go.
of
Okay. Cool. All right, guys.
And
Well, I'll release you all.
Yeah.
For your Friday afternoon fun. I'm sure you all have a happy hour to get to. I don't
We're
want to
going to
stop
the
anybody.
auction. The holiday
You
auction.
want to? Oh, nice. Okay.
Well, the
Yeah.
KW holiday auction at Fidelity.
Yeah,
That's
that's
fun.
tonight. I forgot. I'm not gonna go. I'm not a big event guy if I don't have to go. So I
Oh, that's all right.
hang
That's
low
all
on
right.
those.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll have fun. Buy lots of stuff. It goes to a good cause.
It does, yeah.
And I will catch up with you, Heidi. You're probably headed for happy hour. I'll catch up with you
No,
after happy
yeah,
hour.
I'll catch up with you.
All right,
seeing
guys.
you.
Have a good one.
Thank you very much.